And welcome to this weekend's Behind the Mitten. John Gonzalez along with Amy Sherman at a very noisy place in Grand Rapids, Amy, because there's a lot of tourism people around here today.
There sure are. We are recording this week from the Governor's Conference on Tourism. It's an annual event that brings in all the titans of industry. Everybody who works in tourism in Michigan is here, and it is really a cool time to get to meet people who put on incredible events across the state, who are in charge of beautiful areas, wonderful islands, all sorts of different things, and they're all here in one spot to share their wealth of knowledge with each other and to just make tourism even better here in Michigan.
Well, we really appreciate you tuning in this weekend. This whole show we'll be talking to different folks that we run into at the tourism conference in Grand Rapids this year, so you can get a little taste of what Michigan has to offer when it comes to tourism, vacationing, spending time with your family this summer, because that's what it's all about.
That is what it's all about, and I'm excited to hear about some of the updates and changes at some of our favorite places. We are going to talk on this show about, of course, our Mackinac Island, one of our homes away from home, and maybe some of the changes that are happening at the beautiful Grand Hotel, right?
That's right.
And then, of course, we're going to talk about all outdoors with our friend Paulie B. from Gaylord, and he'll help us pick Beer of the Week. So you want to stay tuned for that. But right now, we're going to get to talk to our good friend Patty Janes, who's with us from Michigan Cares for Tourism. And I love this organization because it's not what you'd think. Right?
Thank you. I think so too. I think it's a really special group of people where we're bringing the entire tourism industry together to give back and help restore historic attractions in Michigan, but really educate ourselves about destinations and have a synergy as a community of people, kind of like what happens at this conference. You know, we have across disciplines coming together and learning from each other, but that's exactly what we do with Michigan Cares for Tourism, where we're coming together, but our focus is how can we volunteer our time, donate to that site, and make a difference for Michigan's residents and our visitors.
That's what I love about what you guys do, because you are taking folks that are in the industry, bringing them together, and kind of reinvesting in preaching what you preach, right? And what are some of the projects, before we get into the current project and some of the new things you guys are doing, what are some of the things you have done in the past?
You know, John, you were actually at our first event. I'll tell you, that was 2013, and it was a magical moment to see 100 tourism people come together. But since 2013, we have actually gone to 6 different significant destinations, is what I say, because it's a multi-day project where we've gone in, volunteered our time, brought the supplies and materials to help that historic site and area and learn about the region. So those 6 projects, from Saugatuck within the Felt Estate to all the way in the Upper Peninsula to Fayette, a stunning place of Michigan, to Detroit and Belle Isle. So we've done 6 significant projects. We pick one a year to do a multi-day event, but that'll be from 100 to 450 tourism professionals coming to the region for 2 or 3 days. And then we've also done these little half-day events. We keep growing and learning of how the industry wants to give and how we can make things happen. So we kicked off the conference yesterday with 50 tourism people volunteering here for Grand Rapids Parks and Recreation, made a difference on 4 different local parks. And I still have goosebumps today to watch, again, the industry just give their time, their talents, and their resources, and a lot of attention. We're all feeling the pain today because it was a lot of hard work, to be perfectly honest, but these little projects we're doing more and more. And then and so we say we have 1,800 people actually volunteer in our first handful of years, and with 10 different projects, whether small or large, so far.
Wow. Well, Patty, how did you come up with this idea to create Michigan Cares for Tourism?
I got really lucky, honestly. I was serving on a board for the National Tour Foundation that actually merged together with an organization called Tourism Cares, where they were doing these types of events at iconic tourism locations around the nation, really. And so I had taken a group of students. I'm a professor by day job. This is a volunteer project for me, but I had taken a group of students with me to a project after Hurricane Katrina down in the Gulf Coast, where we were helping restore these 9 tourism sites that had been demolished, by the hurricane. And I looked at these students, and I had 350 tourism professionals, and my students were the only ones there. And I'm like, if I could retire today, I would. It was such a magical convergence of seeing an entry-level student working alongside a CEO or a mid-level manager and having an even playing field where we're all got a common goal and working together. And then as a result, the byproduct was networking, getting to know each other, building a stronger community. Like I just said, there was nothing in my educational world that had a methodology like that. So fast forward, I could never get it out of my system, thinking tourism cares probably wasn't coming to Michigan. We didn't have these iconic kind of things, but we had so many historic sites that were in need. The DNR alone, manages 260 of our historic sites with a $400 million maintenance deficit. So unless we all start taking care of these things, they're going to go away, and we don't want that to happen. So fast forward, I decided to go to partners in the state who I luckily had worked with over the years, like Travel Michigan, like the DNR, Grand Valley State University, Indian Trails, and I just said, could we all do this together? What do you think? And everybody said yes. And so I said, it's a zero-based budget. We got to raise it to do it. What do you think? Everybody's a volunteer. And so just no one said no. And so long story. It's been a long conversation in my head, but now for 6 years, the industry keeps saying we want to do it. Keep planning events. Keep making it happen, because we're going to come and we're going to make a difference.
That's an incredible story. I love how you're just kind of that little light bulb goes off and you're like, I want to make this happen. And you find a way to get it done. Now, you work at Grand Valley State, right, as a professor? Correct. And you're in the tourism, the hospitality department, right?
Correct.
What do you see with the students today? I mean, it seems like it's a growing field. I'm noticing that Grand Valley seems to pop up all the time. You guys are doing more and more with this department.
Oh, well, thank you, first of all. And I feel it's a very special place. I feel very lucky every day to call that my home base and work with the colleagues that I get to. But, we have a program that's 500 students strong. That's just our majors, and we have minors as well. And so it's broad and wide, this industry, but also preparing students for that future. I've spent the last 27 years working in higher education and getting the privilege of working with young people as they start this career and to have a place like Grand Valley where they've invested in community. It's one of the reasons they're very socially conscious of our students, get experience. We had 12 students volunteering with us yesterday alongside the industry, and we have a group of students planning their own volunteer event with the park system next week. There'll be 100 students just from Grand Valley doing that work. And so yes, I think it's a dynamic industry, lots of great universities around the state, but I'm a little bit biased, but it's a special place.
With good reason.
You can be biased. It's okay. But are you noticing any trends, though, in the industry?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you think about how things have changed, whether it's how we deliver services, authentic experiences to visitors, to the focus on quality, to the focus on the human, whether how our employees are treated at sites. But there's always going to be trends in our industry. There's always going to be differences. I happen to teach research and marketing. Those are my real passions in our business. And I always said, I wrote a textbook on marketing. I go, the day it came out, it was out of date. So absolutely, there's lots of new things, happening every day.
Well, speaking of new things, Patty, what can people look forward to coming up next from Michigan Cares for Tourism?
And we've got a couple of things, Amy, thank you. And first of all, our big event this year is September 16th through the 18th, and we're going back to the Upper Peninsula.
Yes!
I have to tell you, and we've had more people call us already to say, we're coming, but maybe not just for the 3 days you're asking us to come, we're going to come for a week. So we know we make an economic impact to the places we visit as well. And so we're working on Fort Wilkins and the lighthouse up there and the whole region and Keweenaw Peninsula, Copper Harbor. The whole Upper Peninsula has rolled out the red carpet for us.
Wow. We're going, Amy. That's a good time to go.
Really, I
haven't been there in a while, so yeah.
Tom and Uptra and has sponsored. Everyone who comes is getting a Stormy Cromer. So I'm telling you need to come for the Stormy Cromer hat that has beautiful Upper Peninsula on it. But that whole opportunity to go back to the UP, we have 35 people registered already, and we just announced it.
Wow.
That means making a multi-day commitment. But Indian Trails provides free transportation from around the state. So when you have, again, tourism providers who are willing to give of their hearts, their time, their talents, and the resource they happen to have to make this difference, that's how it works. So,
well, that's pretty exciting. Do you have any half days planned coming up for the summer?
We do, and so it's fun. As we continue to grow and figure out what the industry would like us to do with this, I mentioned the student event that happens next Wednesday here in Grand Rapids, but we're also rolling out a pilot program that we call Adopt a Bed, and it's partnered with Experience Grand Rapids and the Kent County Hospitality Association here in Grand Rapids. Our park system has 74 parks, and 27 of those have flower beds with no flowers in them. So again, it's an opportunity for the hospitality industry to come together. We are going to host during National Tourism Week the rollout of our Adopt a Bed. We have 20 beds already adopted by the local hospitality community. Those organizations are going to put the flowers in those beds, and they're going to beautify this city a little more. And again, residents and visitors are going to have a better experience as a result of the hospitality industry making a difference.
I love that. Grand Rapids, beautified. It's going to be great. All right. Well, Patty Janes, if people want to get more information about Michigan Cares for Tourism, where can they go?
Thank you. www.michigancaresfortourism.com. pattyjanes.com. You can call me Patty Janes, Grand Valley State University.
I love it. All right, Patty, thank you so much for joining us on Behind the Mitten. All right, John, coming up next, we're going to learn about all of the changes that are happening this summer at the Grand Hotel. Coming up next on Behind the Mitten.
This is Patty Janes from Michigan Cares for Tourism. Come join us at our next event, September 16th through the 18th, all the way in the Keweenaw Peninsula. And don't forget, you are listening to Behind the Mitten.
And welcome back to Behind the Mitten. John Gonzalez along with Amy Sherman, having a great time in Grand Rapids. But Amy, we're here for a special event you heard us talk about a little earlier in the show.
That's right. We are recording from the Governor's Tourism Conference here in Grand Rapids. This is an annual event where all the titans of the industry come together to discuss Michigan tourism. And it's so much fun, not only to see many of the people who have been on our show over the years in one spot, but to learn about new things that are happening all across the state. We have to thank Patty Janes from Michigan Cares for Tourism. She does some really great things, getting people in the industry to volunteer to restore historical sites across the state, and she has a great event coming up. You can join her in the UP right this fall.
That's right. We'll look forward to that. MichiganCaresForTourism.com. All right, Amy, who do you have with us right now?
Lucky us. We've got Ken Hayward himself, the man of the hour at the Grand Hotel. And Ken, we always love having you on. You've been on several times. Grand Hotel is one of the most iconic places in Michigan, but you guys are never ready to just sit on your laurels. You're always making changes, always updating. You always have new things every season at the Grand Hotel.
Well, it's probably the only advantage we have to being closed for 6 months of the year, because it certainly doesn't help cash flow, and it certainly doesn't.
You looked rested.
But, it does give us a chance to do a lot of things that a lot of properties can't, which is make improvements without inconveniencing our guests. So we have a very long and detailed list of just general maintenance and wallpaper and carpeting and drapes and things that we need to do. And then we always get to have some fun projects too, where we add a sushi restaurant or we add new cupola suites. And this year we're adding 2 new suites, but it's taking existing rooms, 318 and 320, and converting them into new named rooms, which are the special category of rooms at the hotel. And one's going to be called the Lilac Suite for obvious reasons, celebrating the lilacs of Mackinac. And the other's the Prentice M. Brown Suite. And Dan Musser, who owns the hotel's grandfather was Prentice M. Brown. He was a U.S. Senator and a U.S. Representative, and he was also the first chair of the Mackinac Island Bridge Authority. So he and Mr. Woodfill, Dan Musser's great uncle, who brought the hotel into their family, built the Mackinac Bridge. So there's a strong connection there. We have some wonderful archival furniture and things to hang on the wall, and it's going to be a true tribute to someone who made life in northern Michigan different for all of us.
That's for sure. Now, does it overlook the Mackinac Bridge?
It certainly does.
Okay, good.
It certainly does. And there's also going to be a mural on the wall of the bridge, and it's going to be, I think one of the differences between Grand Hotel and a lot of places is the tradition and the family connection, and this is a personal thing. It took a while for the Brown family to be willing to share these items and pay tribute to him, but it's totally appropriate, makes sense. And I think when people go into that room, our philosophy in general is we want our guests to feel like they're coming into your home. We want to welcome them, we want to make them feel comfortable, and how much more of a feeling can you have than by naming a room after a family member? And when you walk into that room, I truly feel you're going to feel like you're walking into history, but also like you're walking in to a bedroom at a friend's house that has personal items there on display for you to look at.
Sounds amazing. Now, John, you've stayed in some of the cupola suites, right?
I have, yes.
And I've seen them. They are massively impressive.
They're impressive, no question about it. But Ken,
they are very comfortable.
They're very comfortable, and that's what I was going to say next. Is that you feel like you're at home, but then again, you're also reminded that you're on vacation. You're there to have a good time and unwind, unplug, and just get away.
Well, Carlton Varney helps us with that too, because I don't think people would decorate their room with lime green and lavender. And Mr. Varney always says, our interior designer, I'm not designing the room like you would design your room at home. I'm designing a room for something that you're going to say, wow, and you're going to take pictures and you're going to send it to your friends. But, I think there's that fine line. We do want the hospitality aspect and the feel. We do some traditional things. You still wear a coat and tie at night, and some people might think it's stuffy. It's not stuffy. It's traditional and it's friendly. So we want our staff to convey that that you're a guest at our home. We want you to feel comfortable. We want you to do what you want to do. And truly, Mackinac, there used to be that when you went across the water, your cell phone service dropped and you didn't have Wi-Fi, and it was truly escape. Well, of course, now your cell phone does work, and we have Wi-Fi in the hotel.